What's up, guys? It's your boy Jamaica here, coming at you with another tournament recap for Season 7, Week 5. The Saturday tournament was won by Yellow Van Blake, running Blue White Control. Unlike the other Blue White Control lists that have been running around from Briar Moss, this is a very more classic build. A bunch of Wraths and very few win conditions. So, we'll go over all the lands first, which has a win condition there. 26 lands, a bunch of like blue-white duels here, guild gates, evolving wilds here to kind of fuel the one treasure cruises in the deck. And the Urza's Factory, one of I would say the 3 kill conditions in this deck. Every card in here has like a use of killing something, drawing a card, or countering something, or making mana. So this card here makes mana and will make a 2/2 assembly worker. So that's a slow but pretty efficient way of killing your opponent. Lands are really hard to deal with. In fact, so much so that Encroaching Waste is in this deck. Maybe even for like, mirror matches where you try to kill their Urza's Factory or whatever. I'm not sure other lands are like really annoying to fight, but that's like my gut right there. Second win condition here, Elixir of Immortality. Just having more cards in your opponent in your library is a way to win. And Elixir is a really good way to ensure that you'll have more. Because you'll just burn all your spells. There's 0 creatures in his deck. Actually 0. That's right there, 0. So Elixir is a good way to just kind of rebuy all your spells and make it so that you won't deck out your opponent well. Here's the removal package here. Immolating Glare. I really like Immolating Glare a lot. It's a really cheap sort of sword attack creature. Kills anything. Pretty much kills anything that doesn't have Hexproof or Shroud. So I like it there. Zoria's Charm, multiple modes. All the charms are pretty sweet, except for like Rule Charm maybe. But this is one of the better ones, especially for blue-white, obviously. But draw a card, put a creature on top of their library, or even just like Lifelink. The Lifelink is the least useful one, but with a bunch of factory tokens, maybe you can get that out there. Present the World Leech is a one-of in the main deck. There are just like random decks like Smokestack, the Turbo Fog deck with Sphinx's Tutelage. There's like enchantments and artifacts you want to deal with. And this thing has cycling, so this has been a really popular choice amongst the white mages here. A single exile, again, just kind of another Immolating Glare sort of thing. But you want to gain life. There's kind of a gap in between like beginning part of the game and the middle to end part of the game where you need to just stay alive. So exile kind of helps you that. Non-white though, but there's not a ton of like white aggro decks out there. Counterbat package here. 4 Dissolve, probably the best counter spell. It lets you look at an extra card with Scry. Scatter to Winds, kind of another kill condition, I would say. I guess Awaken is maybe like a 3rd, a 4th win condition. So this is kind of cool. This has just good implications late game. Then Power Sink. It's kind of like the early counter spell you want. It's like the 2 mana counter. It's probably the best quote unquote 2 mana counter spell. I even did air quotes. You can't even see that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's why it's here. It has a good like late game potential too. You can just tap out your opponent, your like maybe a blue opponent, and they can't pay for the Power Sink. Then you can resolve your own spells. But it's not really like you're trying to resolve like a Planeswalker or an Aetherling in this deck. So this is probably just a 2 mana counter spell itself. Card drawing effects, Hieroglyphic Accumulation. I really like this card. I'm glad it's in the format right now. Just instant speed divination, but also has cycling. So if you need to kind of like hit that land drop when you need it on like turn 2 or 3, and you don't have it yet, you can just cycle this, try to hit that. Because hitting your land drops is really important in this deck. Single Treasure Cruise. I think 1 is the right number for this deck. You don't want to exile too many cards. You want your elixir to be as good as possible, and you have like excess lands like Evolving Wilds, Loading Sandbar that you'll cycle. So Cruise is a good, just kind of like mid to late game sort of trump. And the Stroke of Genius, kind of another kill condition. You're doing like elixir stuff, and you can just kind of deck your opponent with just this card. When you just have a ton of mana, especially if you have like House Run pools going with storage lands, you can kind of just deck your opponent with Stroke, which is a very viable super late game decision for a win. Thunder Outburst, another Awaken card, so you can kind of just finish the game when you need to. But the Wraths here are just like pretty split between here and Winds of Wrath, because things like Spiritmonger, pretty much Spiritmonger is the only thing that has Regenerate right now, but that's kind of relevant there. And then Planetary Cleansing, an extra like sort of like an extra Wrath, but an extra like kind of way to kill enchantments and artifacts, rather than just problem-some permanents. Sideboard, extra Celestial Flares. When the Wraths are too slow and you have a hyper aggro deck, you need like just early interaction. So Slush Fork makes the cut here. Aura Fracture is pretty interesting. I guess there's like just some enchantments that you really want to kill on the spot. So Aura Fracture is kind of a repeatable effect. I love any sort of repeatable effect in Penny Dreadful. It's like very like planeswalkery to me. So I like cards like this. Pulse of the Fields, again, for another aggro matchups. It's probably like one of the worst matchups, maybe like Mono Red. They kind of get under you really quickly, so you want things like that. And Redirect, which is a funny little, like, it's very useful sort of like spell in terms of fighting other counter wars. You can redirect their counter spell to the redirect, and then their counter spell gets countered upon resolution. Or you can just like redirect burn spells that go into your face. So that's a really good use. Multi-use card. Extra Overwhelming Denial for the control matchups, or just other blue matchups in general. Gather Specimens. Yeah, it's like kind of like a 6-mana, like, I'll take all your creatures. When you kind of bursting out, I would hate to play this when I'm playing Dragonstorm. That'd be really annoying. But then again, in Dragonstorm, you can kind of just like pause for a second when, okay, I'll just not play any of these creatures. But maybe there's like a big creature that you don't want to face. I'm not sure. Maybe he can chime in on that. And then the Graveyard Hate, Sentinel Totem, Fire Extinct Furnace. You don't want too many totems in this list. You want your own cards to come back with the Elixir. So I think Furnace is like a better choice overall. But sometimes you need to nuke everything. So that's why Totem's here. Yeah, this is a pretty classic deck. This is actually like Yell Van Blink's second win. So it's pretty interesting days. Like winning with different decks. He actually won the first tournament in Season 7 with Zombies. So it's nice to see a little bit of range. I know he's been working on control decks. And if you want to see what he beat and all the other decks that were competing, you can check out the link below in the description. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you next time.